Hey all, I'm Jason Levon, priest at St. Luke's Episcopal Church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome to another Advent edition of Pause and Pray. Father Tom is a colleague of mine, a wonderful mentor. He has many more years of priesthood under his belt than I do. He's almost always on the straight and narrow. I rarely hear him cuss, and I rarely see him drink. Once in a while, I think he'll have a glass of wine, or so I've seen him at certain functions. But every year on St. Patrick's Day, Father Tom goes to bars and blesses beer. And as you can probably imagine, some of his colleagues aren't too happy about this. They ask him questions like, is that really where a priest should be seen on St. Patrick's Day in a bar? To which Tom will wisely reply and challenge us all and say, the church isn't just the people who sit in your pews on Sunday mornings, but it's also the people who sit in bars on Saturday nights. And then Tom will continue to talk about the rich experiences he's had in going to bars and blessing beer on St. Patrick's Day. So people will come up to him and open up to him in ways they maybe haven't in a long while. He said people will say things like, I haven't been to church in years, and here I am talking to a priest. Often people open up to him about the rocky roads they're walking in their lives. People talk to him about the pain of divorce and separation, or maybe grief, or maybe tension with a family member or a child who's making poor choices. Still others have confided in Tom that maybe the bottle is a little too close of a friend to them. And Tom encourages us and says things like, sometimes I find in bars more rawness and realness and honesty and vulnerability than I do in my own church, in the sanitized walls of the church that he serves. And Tom challenges us to go out and meet those people wherever they're at and be willing to walk those rocky roads with them. Tom's right. We're not authentically being church if we're just a community that pretends to have it all together and is content with the sanitized walls of the building in which we worship. No, we're only authentically being church if we're willing to walk with each other, to meet each other where we're at and walk with each other, even and especially on the rockiest of roads, with an honesty and a holy vulnerability. Because that's authentically who God is, and that's authentically what God wants to do, walk those rocky roads with us. We see that authenticity of God in the gospel chosen for the daily office today, which comes from the 22nd chapter of St. Luke, which is the setting of the table for the Last Supper. And it begins with an incredible amount of roughness and rockiness. The chief priests and scribes bent on killing Jesus, Judas hoping for a good payday when he betrays Jesus in the very near future. It was an incredible rocky road that awaited Jesus. But we, as people of faith who can step back and know the larger story, know that Jesus was willing to walk that rocky road. And not just willing, but seemed to prefer walking that rocky road with us. And what another gift of Advent that is, that draws us today into a holy pause and invites us to do some real prayer and reflection about the times in our lives when our roads had become quite rocky, and how we came to find love drawing near to us and walking with us on those rocky roads. And maybe in so doing, we'll find ourselves transformed a bit more by grace into gifts of Advent for one another, willing to meet one another where we're at and walk alongside one another, even and especially when the road has gotten rocky and rough, with the gifts of presence and patience and compassion, the only gifts that seem to be able to help make the rough and rocky road a little bit smoother. Advent peace and blessings to you all.